Hey everybody, it's Karen Anderson here with Aortic Hope. We have a very special live Q&A tonight, but before I get started with that, I'm going to ask you to click that like button and please click the bell and subscribe to the channel. The bell actually notifies you when we go live for moments like this. We go live for Q&As, we go live for our weekend reviews, we go live for Survivor Series, we go live because we've just got things we need to talk about. So click that bell, click the like button, and comment. Let us know you're there. Banter with us, ask questions. That's what these interactive podcasts, visual podcasts are all about here on AHTV. So we're going to get into this. This is a first for us. We're so super excited. We did have a formal announcement of Chef Robb and Mindy Seltzer, our culinary and nutrition educators. And we're so excited to have both of you here with us for this live Q&A. I know, I'm super excited. And I love your green chef jackets. I love it. Awesome.
Yes, green for healthy greens.
Healthy greens.
Garden
well, I'm going to let you guys kind of talk about your background beyond that. We know that, Robb, that you're a survivor, and Mindy, you're the caregiver. So talk a little bit about your experience and your affiliation now with this community. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and then I want you to go ahead and dive right into your backgrounds and what brings you here as our culinary and nutrition educators.
Okay. I guess I'll start. Hi, everybody. I am Chef Robb, obviously, of the two of us. So as Kara said, I am a aortic dissection survivor. I had a major one. I had a AB. It went from my root all the way down past my kidneys. Got life flighted from Orlando to Gainesville, where I had my aortic arch replaced and stayed in the hospital for quite a while. It was only a year ago, actually, almost 13 months. And I feel like $1 million, which I think is very unusual after meeting so many of you who are out there that still seem to be suffering a little bit, or a lot of it, even after 2, 3, 5 years. But I'm still dissected. I've gone back for a second surgery in December. I had a newfangled stent put in, which really helped a lot because I had an endo leak and an aneurysm in my descending aorta, and also had to have my subclavian repaired on my left arm. So that was a much easier surgery. It was planned, as we all know. Planned is better than emergency. We like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for everybody involved, family as well. So that, I spent the year recovering, lots of hospitalizations, lots of things. One of the things that happened as a result is I had to retire, as many of us had. Especially as a chef, I was, no way I could go back into a working kitchen. Even as an educator, I mean, at the university level, they didn't want to take the risk. I wanted to, but then I realized that, no, this wasn't going to work anyways, with so many days out in the hospitals and all that stuff. So as I got better, I was trying to decide what to do and how to get better, and I found Aortic Hope, and immediately jumped in, like I always do, head first. And as those of you that are in the support groups and so on know that I'm pretty much a regular attendee, and I tend to speak out. I'm not a little mouse in the corner, not my style, right? So I got involved, and I like what I saw, and I was wondering what I wanted to do. And people had told me, all the nurses and friends that I knew and other doctors, with our survival rate, the fact that I'm even alive is in itself a miracle. And everybody, I still get choked up over this, but everybody, I don't know how many times I was told that there's a reason you're alive. There's a purpose, and there's a reason that you didn't die. And so you need to, find it, which I wanted to do. And so I think I found it, when I saw Aortic Hope, and I wanted to give back, and I have a lot of things I can offer to the community, and the community gave to me. Joining and being in the support groups was a big part of my healing, along with my therapy, and made a big difference. So I thought, I think I can, it's a good cause, and maybe this is why.
And not only are you such a big player now in our community, and you're running the aorta hangouts as well, you're also becoming very involved rapidly with Think Aorta US. like our sister
Yes.
organization, and
Mhm.
helping to promote the Think Aorta, Think Family campaign as well.
Yes, so that's the education side, as I am an educator and want to get out there. And I know that's the other piece of the puzzle. I mean, helping those that are survivors is important, but then also trying to educate those that
Prevent it.
know nothing about it and prevent. And I've talked to many EMTs and firemen and physicians. Every time I run into somebody, I give them the aortic hope and the think aorta spiel. You know, can I
Right.
send you materials? What can we do? So,
And I'm always with him, so we're part of it.
right.
Well,
So-
and Mindy, I was going to ask you, you're pretty involved now in the caregivers group as well, correct? You've at least
I'm
been
not
in that group
really-
a few times.
I look at it, I see it, I answer, if
Yeah.
I see something that I said, hey, let me give him some help.
Mhm.
I was lucky in two cents that when we met, it was a long time ago, but we have been together side by side since 76. And I was in Michigan when all this happened. So I had to figure out, I started changing my flight to get down. My daughter finally took at it, and we worked with the hospital and everything that went on with that. And I just said, I've spent my last 22 years making sure Floridians are healthy. I inspected hospitals, nursing homes, intermediate care facilities, nutrition wise, and total care from the structure to their well being and their social well being. So I had a little in on knowing who to talk to and how to talk to some of the doctors and stuff like that. But I've never really yelled at the doctor like I did when the dissection had.
Hey, sometimes you just have to take the reins, right? And you got to do what you need to do to advocate. And
Yeah.
you guys did that just to even come into the community. You're now well-known community members. Even if you answer just one person and you're able to help one person, it's endless what comes back to you. It's tenfold.
It's a wonderful feeling.
Mhm.
We've always tried to give back from the community. We're not always the ones that donate huge sums of money, but you have us.
Right. You give back
Workers,
with your
worker
time.
bees.
Yeah.
And-
And this led you guys to thinking about, well, what if you have to be retired, what can you do? So before you get
Right.
into what you're going to do, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your background that's bringing you to this point of what you're going to do for the community?
Okay, well, I started out as an administrative dietitian. I ran a hospital food service for 7 years and trained all the kitchen staff and the dietitians, the hospitalists on basic nutrition. Did some really fun programs as far as cooking, like who remembers having their baby and like, there's no way I'm ever going out to dinner again.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I made a mom and dad dinner, steak and lobster dinner, and the babies got to stay in the nursery before they all went home.
Very nice.
And
That's
even
great.
if it was that, and then I
Yeah.
started some other programs, the Chefs of Michiana, because this was in Indiana, and I brought area chefs into the hospital to teach them to modify the diets, whether it was a low sodium, low carb, and this is back in the early 80s,
Yeah.
and taught the chefs, took their menus and gave it to the whole hospital.
Yeah, because I would
Patients,
say
doctors, visitors.
because heart healthy diets, the ones you get now in the hospital, I don't think they've been around for that long, right? Maybe 20 plus years that
In
you've
my
seen.
hospital, they have been.
Okay, so they've been around for a while, because I can
Yeah.
remember going there back in the late 90s, for when I would have
Mhm.
bowel issues with Crohn's disease. And
Yeah.
it was either NPO or it was liquids or it was regular menu. Like I never saw they're really interesting menus that I see now. So I do think things have changed a little.
Oh, well, they've changed quite a bit. There are
Yeah.
dietitians that are also chefs. Johnson and Wales, if you go there and you get your chef's degree, you can also graduate to be a dietitian as well and then do your internship and everything. So
Okay.
I have always been the source that food is important for nutrition, where I don't hand somebody a piece of paper. So giving nutrition through food, cooking is what I'd love to do. I worked for an HMO, taught cooking classes there. So we've always worked with food. That is one of our passions. Like our friends in general, why do we go out to dinner? We'll just pay Rob and Mindy to cook us dinner.
We've done that. We've
If
done
I
that.
lived close to you, you already know me. I'd be doing it for every Jewish holiday. I'd be like, okay, let me order some kugel. Because I just listen to some of the things that you cook up and I begin salivating. So we're going to
Yeah,
get there. We're going to get
we,
there
we,
at some point, but I love
we,
that. That's
on
wonderful.
an aside, we were married on New Year's Eve
Oh,
in
okay.
1978. So of course,
Mhm.
always a party, but who
Right.
wants to go out on New Year's Eve?
Yeah.
And it was a long time before I even got to spend my anniversary with Mindy because I was working in the restaurants or whatever.
Right.
But we eventually started doing New Year's Eve at our house, and I would do 7, 8 course
Mhm.
wine dinners.
We
totally
start on
all-
Monday.
Yeah, prepping ahead of time, and
Mm-hmm.
I would do it for 8 or 10 people. They would all pay because I would
Hey,
do double. I would, we'd always have a caviar course. We'd have this,
right.
that, stuff. Good
Nice.
champagne because I was in the wine business. Good champagnes. Anyways, so but the thing was, they all paid us happily to come to these
But they would
dinners.
say no. They say no. We have to start paying you. This
Yeah.
is ridiculous that you
Yeah.
make it. Like
So anyway, so after Mindy left her HMO, she did, as you mentioned, 22 years working for the state of Florida as a we call her
public health consultant.
public health consultant, but a senior advocate. She inspecting nursing homes and hospitals and making sure that they provided proper care to the residents in those hospitals. So and in the nursing homes, which is an important job, and she saw a lot. Myself, my background, I started out as most chefs do after I graduated from college and went out east and to Johnson Wales and became an instructor. Then I went back. We went to South Bend, Indiana. Eventually, some restaurants. Jumped a lot of jobs. Became the executive chef at Notre Dame, the University of Notre Dame. Ran the food service. Whatever, 7,000 meals a day for students and for
I only
the
did
public dining
1,500. No competition.
Then from there, I got into large food service with recreational services, called them convention centers, arenas, racetracks, so on. I ran the South Bend Convention Center as a chef. We moved to Pittsburgh.
It's because I told them I'd kill them if we didn't move. No son.
Yeah. So Pittsburgh Convention Center, I was a general manager, executive chef. Then we eventually, 2 years later, moved to Orlando because I came down here to be the general manager and the Orange County Convention Center. And there, at that time, it's now 3 times larger. It was 1 million square feet when I moved in. It's now up to 3 or 4. But I could do sit-down dinners for 5,000 people. Which
I'm just laughing because I'm like thinking, oh gosh, I struggle just to put together my protein, vegetable, and rice and have it all come out at the same time. And you're doing meals for that many people. Don't mind it. Don't
it's
mind
only,
me.
it's only 500 tables of 10.
Whatever, it's easy.
125 servers,
Amazing.
and the bussers and the cooking staff and everything. But it was great. That all goes out on time. Hot food hot, cold food cold. And
Incredible.
when I'm done, there's only like a half pan of rice left over.
Amazing.
So that's the magic of doing that type of catering.
Right.
And then so I was here, and then I spent several years, 20 years in distribution, which is a lot of my knowledge is and background is food purchasing and speccing. So like I can do a whole show and talk about peas, which would be really, everyone will love it. Okay. And just talk about peas for an hour. But that's, manufacturing, packaging. I taught supply chain. So eventually ended up Le Cordon Bleu teaching there for 6 years and taught every course in the house. And I use my hands when I talk, okay?
Don't slap me in the face.
Hey, it is the Robb and Mindy show. I'm just here to observe.
So taught all the courses there, the international courses, the regular, the restaurants, everything. And then went to University of Central Florida as an educator, the director of food and beverage operations and teaching kitchens, teaching supply chain management. Then I also taught at the UCF College of Medicine. And I taught what we called culinary medicine to the 4th year medical students, teaching them how to use food as medicine and teaching them how to cook and showing them, teaching them. So it's kind of a teach the teacher, show them how to teach their patients rather than just how many times have you gone to a doctor and they hand you a piece of paper. Here,
or follow this
here's
diet.
what you can eat. Here's what you can't eat. Here's the diet, and what am I supposed to do with this, and you have no idea how to put it together. So
hopefully that's rolled into looking at using dietitians when they can't do that.
They do. So the course was taught by myself, a chef, a dietitian, and a physician. And it was a triad, as we call it, and the three of us ran these courses. And the course sold out every year. Did it for 4 years before I retired, and put a lot. And it's been done around the country, by the way. There's I think about over 75, 80 university colleges, medical colleges, lots that are now doing this course. And it started at Harvard originally. But anyways, so that ties into this. So it gave me this desire to teach, which is what I want to keep doing. So I thought about, I haven't seen anything, especially with our group, of, how can we cook for aortic disease survivors or people with aortic disease, and whether it's the caregiver preparing the food or it's the survivor themselves that does the cooking, or can do the cooking, or what do you do when you really just can't get out of your chair and cook, So I figured there was a lot of material here and a lot of information to pass on, and maybe some tips to make it easier, some things to maybe make it a little fancier, and so on. So
well, you have to think in this community, we always hear people ask about exercise. Everybody wants to know about exercise. And we all are very aware of Dr. Prakash out of UT Houston's research study that they're doing right now in hopes of coming up with something that is more across the board as far as perimeters and restrictions. And that would be wonderful. And then the next thing people want to talk about when they've been diagnosed or if they've had surgery is, what is their new normal going to look like? What does life look like? What do these medications mean? And then the third thing that inevitably people go to is because they want to know what they can control. And one of the things that you can control is what you put in your mouth. And every doctor will say a good balanced diet, some exercise, to whatever degree your doctor says, good sleep. These are all key things to fueling your body and keeping your body in as good of shape as you can. So we are very limited on what we can control, but this is one of them. And you are right, Rob. Nobody has really talked about it. I've had a cardiologist talk about the DASH diet, and no, it wasn't Mrs. Dash. Dash stands for something totally different, or the Mediterranean diet.
Dash came about.
Oh, well, so I want to know all that history and the Mediterranean diet. So we all think of these diets, which really should just be ways of life and ways that we eat. And it's not that we're here to promote keto or a plant-based only diet. I think that there's ways that we can eat and it still be healthy and not take us hours to do it and seem so intimidating and daunting. And that's what we're going to be doing in May. Beginning on May 9th, we're going to start a cooking series with the two of you. And you want to talk a little bit about what this series is going to entail?
So we're going to do that every other week until the end of June. And then we'll take the summer off and start up again in the fall and keep going. So you mentioned some things there. The culinary medicine course is based on the Mediterranean lifestyle, I call it, not a diet. A diet, as Mindy likes to define, what's a diet mean?
Diet is a way of eating. If you look it up in the dictionary, that's what it means.
It doesn't mean lose weight, doesn't mean something that you have to do to, for that.
We could be a Russian diet, or it could be a Polish diet.
Okay.
And there are different, if you look at the Mediterranean diet online, they have it done for Asian communities, for Hispanic communities, all sorts, they've adjusted it. But that is still the number one, by the way. The healthiest and the easiest, because it's the easiest to follow. It's the easiest to create a lifestyle with, because it has everything in it. So a lot of us, what I talk about and stuff, will be based on the Mediterranean lifestyle. We're going to cover everything from basic intro to cooking, because I've already talked to some people that want like even things like knife skills. How can I use a knife better, and which is really important, because in a kitchen, a knife is fatigue. And so if you can use it with less fatigue, which is really part of the whole thing about proper knife skills, so that you can use it efficiently and without stressing out your muscles. There is a technique to that. And because you think if you're a chef and you're sitting there, chopping for 8 hours a day, if you're a cook, you want to,
When he
your
first
arms are
came
dead.
home,
Yeah.
he started making his first meal, and he went to the stove and he started, and it was 5 minutes. He goes, "I'm done."
Yeah.
I said, took a picture of him. You're standing, you did it, and it's 5 minutes.
Yeah. So
As he progressed, one of the things we noticed, if you look at you can see it, Karen. I have a bar stool that has come with me from college on up. And we finally turned around and said, "Honey, why don't you try sitting down while you're cutting things up? Maybe it'll save you some energy."
So maybe tips like that, but also as we go on, so knife skills, some basic culinary education. The first one in May is going to be those knife skills. So I'll demonstrate with vegetables and stuff. And so since I am a zero waste chef, I don't like to throw in as little away as possible. We compost everything to see it in the kitchen. But so we'll do a thing on demonstrate on how to make a proper stock. All right, which is one of the healthiest things that you can have. And the stock is the base of everything good in the kitchen. So I'll talk about stock. And from stock, we make soup. So we'll talk about making different soups and how easy it is to make soups. It's not a complicated thing to do. People may think it is. And then we'll get into cold foods. And well, I don't teach with recipes necessarily, okay? Because I teach technique.
Baking needs recipes. It's
Yeah.
the only thing.
Yes. But if you know how to cook things, if you know how to saute, if you know how to roast, if you know how to do these, you can do it to anything because the technique is the same across the board. So then it just becomes of how do you want it to taste? What flavors do you want and so on. So we're going to talk about that and move through the different styles of cooking. There's actually 7 methods of cooking. Well, we can fry. We can use an air fryer. Right. Try to be healthier. Oh, we just boil it all in olive oil. I mean, that's got to be healthy, right? It's olive oil.
Oh, poached tuna in olive oil.
It's amazing. Yeah, that might be a good one to do.
Yeah.
Make your own, basically like the Italian canned tuna that you get at Costco in olive oil. So anyways, so we're going to go all the methods of cooking, and Mindy is going to talk about some of the ingredients that we're using. Like tonight, we're using antioxidants and things of that nature, and talk about how those work. And so we're going to try to keep a balance. I'll be honest, we're still working on the curriculum.
We're hoping some input from the community.
Yes, I do have a survey, so I'm going to need emails, or I can give Josh the link to send out to all the people that are attending. And I wanted to get answers on what you want to see and what is it you're hoping to learn from the course, and kind of some of your food knowledge. Do we have a lot of beginners? Do we have a lot of foodies? Whatever. So it's a 10-question survey that I want to send out after tonight.
And we'll be watching you. We'll be watching you here on YouTube, so people will be able to comment and leave questions as you're doing this live. And I can already tell you that one of the things I know people are going to want to know is prior to this, we all liked a little bit of salt, right? So what are some of the seasonings that we can use in place of salt? What are some of the fun, yummy things that we can do that will add that flavor, but it won't be harmful or potentially harmful in rising our blood pressure, or anything like that?
That will be almost every night, like tonight.
Perfect.
I'm going to do a demo on basic vinaigrettes and salad dressings, and make a little salad. But typically a vinaigrette has a good, chefs with the salt. I like this. The chef, we call it the chef's pinch. There's a pinch.
It's a big
chef's pinch. Yeah, you use all 5 fingers.
Yes.
Right. and don't worry, it's not a lot of salt. You may think it looks like a lot of salt, but it's not a lot of salt. Yeah, right. Yeah.
For those that can't have it,
yeah,
it's a lot
I just gained,
salt.
20 pounds after that meal, in fluid. So yes, that's what we teach in the culinary medicine too, is the whole thing. That's one of the biggest things, how to make food taste good, look good, and be flavorful without using salt.
Which is wonderful.
What did you say that your doctor called it?
The White Death.
Oh, okay. I've not heard
Otherwise
that, but
known-
that's jarring.
Otherwise known as salt and sugar.
Yep, the white death.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, which I do have a love-hate relationship with both of those. So that
Yes, of
will be
course.
fun
So do
to learn.
we.
Yes.
Well,
We can
and
use a
and
little
as
bit.
we'll tell everybody that's going to participate, whether it's tonight or moving forward, if there's any reason that you are on any type of dietary restriction or might have an issue with certain foods that you can or can't take for any other comorbidities or situations, please share the information that you're going to learn, whether it's tonight or moving forward in the series, with your physician, and just ask a question. It never hurts to just ask and make sure that you're protected. I can't imagine there would be a problem, but if there is, definitely check it out before you check out trying some of this stuff. But again, this is all part of, creating that conversation, that dialogue with you and your physician. If there's something that resonates with you and you want to just check it out, tell your doctor, hey, I was watching the show and they're saying I should do Mediterranean diet. What do you think? So just, that's the disclaimer for the night. I've said it. There you go. But
Right.
it does make sense, because there are people in the community that I know have IBD, because I've run into a bunch of them, thinking that's amazing that I'm finding people like me. So, we can't always do a lot of the roughage. We are doing more of the white carbs because it does help some people's stomachs, and some people can't do garlic. So we're going to have to find ways to get questions, which during tonight or in the future, you can always send a question to info@aortichope.org if you need a suggestion for a substitution. And then we can get it to you guys, and then you guys can answer it for the community.
Right. Or you can always, if you want to, if you going public, you can make a post in the Aortic Hope support group and just tag me or Mindy in the post. Say
We'll get the
Rob,
information.
Chef Rob, Aortic Chef Rob Seltzer, or Mindy Seltzer, and we'll be alerted that you got a question that way.
Yeah. In the private forum, Aortic Hope on Facebook, or if you're not on Facebook, you can send us that email.
Right.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's check in real quick and see if there's any questions at this point.
Well, we don't have any questions yet, but we're going to say hi to a bunch of people here.
Bunch of people.
Melissa jumped in. Deb Jolly Workaholic is here again. Jenny Says, that's her YouTube handle there. Pamela Singletary. Tammy Warner jumped in to say, I can't wait for the cooking series.
Okay.
Great.
Jenny, Melissa, Deb, Pam, Tammy, thank you all for joining us tonight. And we cannot wait for the cooking portion either. So whenever you guys want to get started on doing a little demonstration.
Yep. We're going to move into the kitchen. So give us a minute and we're going to switch our stations here, change the channel.
Sure. If you want to just chit chat while you're doing that, give us a little bit of a quick rundown on what Mediterranean is. You can talk about it while you're moving around and changing your channel.
Okay, we got to go to the kitchen.
We're changing cameras.
And we're going to change.
There's going to be a
microphones.
mic
That's the big deal.
change, Karen.
Oh, there's a mic change. Oh, so should I like jazz hands our break? You want me to
It'll take
that
us
I can
30
dance us
Yes,
out
yes.
of
30
the
seconds.
break?
See ya.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Do you know what I had for dinner tonight? I had leftover kasha and bows. And Josh, you probably do not know what that is, because
No,
it
I
is
do not.
a Jewish delight. It is typically eaten around Rosh Hashanah, although I love kasha any time of the year. I make it straightforward. It's buckwheat is what it is. I look at it kind of like yeah, right? Isn't kasha kind of like, it reminds me of quinoa in a way, right? And so I saute my onions, and then I mix up an egg, I put my kasha in, and I put it in the pan, and then you're boiling some bow tie noodles, and I can eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
We all good?
Love it.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
All right,
Karen was making some buckwheat, something or other.
I'm making buckwheat comments to fill the void.
Okay.
All right.
Do you all hear me?
We do.
We don't hear you.
We hear you.
Is that a
They
no?
don't hear us.
We hear
I do.
you.
Oh,
I hear
okay.
you. I hear you.
We hear you.
I just need more
Okay.
volume.
Technology.
Yes.
All right.
So as you can see, we have a huge kitchen. It's all of 10 feet by 6 feet.
Hey, what do you need? You need a burner, a sink, a stove, a fridge?
Exactly what we have. We went from a nice 20 by 20 kitchen and moved into this one. And I also, my laundry room is slightly larger than most laundry rooms, and that's where all the things I use rarely.
So we kind of figure, we downsized a lot before I retired, after all the kids left. My youngest is here, but she's 37. So you can realize we downsized, and we really downsized.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? I could still put out dinner for 10 or 12 or 15 if I have, with a 4-burner stove and an oven and a refrigerator, and make it work, but that's my organizational skills, I guess.
2 refrigerators are better, but I refuse to buy a second
Right.
one.
So, all right. So tonight,
Okay.
we're going to move into we thought we'd do something kind of simple and fun. But
Let us out. Excuse me.
yes, the romaine, please. So Mindy and I were shopping. We were talking about what we could do, and a little input from Karen. We also, yes, the spinach. We thought about, she said, it's a good opening demo is to show a basic vinaigrette. So now while I'm doing that, the first thing I typically do when I have a class, a new class of culinary students, we always open up with kitchen safety and sanitation, which really is really important because most of us are immune compromised. So we have to be even more careful than even the average person. And believe it or not, most kitchens, including yours, is one of the dirtiest places in the house.
I want to preface that a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
People in COVID learned how to take sanitizer wipes and sanitize all their counters down.
That's true. That's true.
So people understand the process of sanitation. We just probably have started leaning back a little bit more, which is okay.
Right, exactly. But there's certain things you have to do and be careful with. And we thought this would be a good time to talk about that. Sanitation is the big thing, and I'll talk about it all the time. I'll build sanitation into my talks. Like if we're working with chicken one night, I'm definitely going to talk about cross-contamination and making sure that you don't, mix up your chicken and your lettuce because you don't cook the lettuce, things like that. But tonight it's just going to be cold food, but cold is also sometimes more dangerous than cooked food because if it is contaminated, there's no way to destroy the bacteria, those nasty little germs that do get us sick. Most of them are killed anywhere between 135 degrees and 165 degrees Fahrenheit, which are most of the cooking temperatures for different types of meat and seafood and poultry. But
we'll talk about labeling. If you notice in your grocery store, your labelings are a little bit different. We'll get into that in more detail. Yeah, so that's good. Came for the show.
Yes.
So
yes.
One of the things that we have is we want to get rid of some misconceptions on produce, that it has to be re-washed. So we're going to show you a couple of things that we have so that you can understand the difference between ready to use and fresh.
Or pre-washed.
So
what we're going to do, I'm going to build a salad and also focus on making a healthy vinaigrette, and both a regular or a emulsified if you want it to stay together. And they're really pretty simple, and it's really up to you how you want to flavor it and what you want to put into it. But it's still something a lot of people just, don't get. But see, the fun part of cooking in the regular kitchen is that, and I said how I don't like to use recipes when I teach, is because you want a recipe, there's a million cookbooks, you can go get them, and if you want to guide by them. But cooking is really about feel and about taste. And there are no necessarily what we call essential ingredients in regular cooking. If a dressing has garlic and you don't like garlic, leave it out. It's not going to affect the outcome. That's why baking, they say you have to have your recipes or formulas, as bakers like to refer them to. They're the chemists in the kitchen because they have a lot of essential ingredients that cannot be adjusted, like the ratios of flour to baking powder to water to sugar to butter, all those different things. Yes, but all those things are essential. But like when it comes to a chocolate chip cookie, the best ingredient is not essential, the chocolate chip. So if you don't like a lot of chocolate chips, you don't put a lot in. If you like lots of chocolate chips, just keep on adding until you feel you'll be satisfied, because they're not an essential ingredient. Okay, so in cooking, it's really all about what you want. So once you understand the technique of how to make it, you then create your own flavors. Or if you need some guidance, of course, you look at books or online and see what other people do. I do that still, but I'll look at 5, 6, 7 different ideas, recipes, and go until I find inspiration, and then kind of put them all together and say, oh, this is what I think.
General idea, we have 200 cookbooks.
Yeah.
And we got rid of about 100 already.
Yes, so a lot of fun. Okay, so let's get to this. So let's talk about the differences and the things we see in the store. So hold the camera there.
This is baby spinach, and it says washed and ready to use.
So,
Perishable, and it has the production date. And pretty much when it has the best used by date with stuff that is pre-washed, you probably should use it by the 27th, if that's what the date is on the product.
we're pretty close to it.
Even though it looks good.
So we need to ask you, and then, so we have our unwashed product here, our romaine, as well. And it's nice. You can see, I think this other camera shows it better. We even have a little visitor in there. We've got a little, I think he has wings. He got caught in the packaging when they did it. So this is unwashed romaine. It just says romaine lettuce and nothing else. Your nutritionals on the back, which really isn't much of anything. And so this obviously even says though, wash before use, keep refrigerated. Okay, so I'm curious if you'll answer a question for me. How many people still wash this? The stuff that is pre-washed, do you still throw it in your sink and wash it before you use it? I am just curious. So I am going to wash. Now when you do wash, while you type your answers in.
One of the things about food safety is, after years of practicing dietitian and inspecting, I was in the kitchen and I said, why are you pouring something in warm water? They said, we're not. We use cold water. Well, we finally got the thermometers, and we found out in Florida, our water rarely gets below 70 degrees. And you shouldn't wash things or soak things unless it's 65 degrees or less.
Wow, that's interesting. I never even realized that. Never even noticed it.
I was going like, why are you cooking this meat in the sink? And it ended up, and now I understand, because we just heat from their house and their food's in the attic. So our cold water comes out at about 110 degrees to start.
You know what? I will answer the question. In our house, my family likes to buy bagged mixed salad. I feel like answers I'm going to give might be booed or histopon, but I'm going to give them anyway. But yeah, we buy a salad that's already in the bag. So you just take it out and we put it in the bowl. So no, we don't wash that because it's got all different types of greens, carrot pieces, radish. We just take it out and it goes right in the bowl. I think. I don't think he washes it. I think
probably says pre-washed.
Right.
Yeah. Most all of those are, and that's correct. The answer to that question was you should not wash pre-washed products. You actually have we're just gonna rinse them first. You have a better chance of recontaminating them if you wash them after they come, once you take them out of the bag. They are ready to eat, they are clean, they've gone through multiple washes and rinses, and they're all ready to go. So unless your sink, has been, there's that little buggy. There he is. Unless you bleach your sinks before you fill them and everything, you're going to, probably cross-contaminate. Okay, so I've got, by the way, this kale that we're using kale and romaine and spinach and baby spinach in this salad. Some healthy green. You all hear about kale. This is dragon. You done?
Yes.
Thank you.
I had to open the box of spinach.
So this is dragon kale from Mindy's garden, which you'll see one day. She has a lovely garden, and also known as Tuscan kale. And she's got kale and green beans and cucumbers and squashes and chives and tomatoes. Yeah, we've got tomatoes tonight. These are called midnight tomatoes. They're those nice, black and red tomatoes, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So all this stuff came from the garden, so I'm washing it. Now notice I have a colander here, but I'm not washing this stuff in the colander. I'm washing it in a sink of water because a colander is not really an effective utensil to wash in because it does not allow, so you need to let things, like in a tub, soak a little bit, but then have free enough water to carry the dirt away. If you just put it in a colander, a lot of the stuff is buried underneath the other lettuces or greens or whatever you're washing, and they don't get clean. Yeah.
The other thing is, like, we have a salad spinner. And I looked at it the other day and I said, I know I just bleached this. Why are there black spots here? Well, guess what? I washed fresh produce in it. So I have to clean it a little bit more, even though it comes disassembled. You have to soak it. Sometimes I'll soak it in vinegar. Sometimes I'll soak it in a little bit of bleach water. And I mean soak. That's like an hour, and then I'll come clean it out the rest of the way.
Okay. Now the kale, if you've never worked with kale, it's really simple. It's got a really thick spine down the center. You do not want to eat that. It's even when you cook it, it's really tough. So you have to remove it. So you flip the kale inside out, hold it with your hand, and just pull it away from the spine, kind of a dual action motion here, and then throw it in the sink. And it's the same thing with Swiss chard, the same way, or any other kale. Now the Tuscan kale, this dragon kale or dinosaur kale as they call it, is tender enough to eat in salads, not like the big kale that is you really cook down for greens. If you want to make, a batch of greens.
Beans and greens.
That's a little bit too heavy, too tough to put in salads, but unless it's baby kale. But this stuff is also what holds up well in the in cooking. So it still retains some of its natural shape and bite. So now I'm going to drain it in my colander real quick. And my romaine, I have a clean towel there. And I also in the sink have some herbs that came from our garden, some fresh chives and some parsley that we'll use for our salad dressing as well. So it'll be nice and tasty. Okay, so, and that's it. You can dry the stuff off. If you have a clean kitchen towel or paper towels. I'm using my paper towels to hold my camera right now, so I'm not going to disturb that. So I have a nice clean, right out of the laundry towel to dry off my greens. Now romaine, I've already removed most of the top, that ugly part that's on the top of the romaine, and we just cut that up. Now, knife, real quickie. This is a chef's knife. This is a 8 or 9 inch, I think. And so proper way to hold a knife, just really quick. Pretend like, when you were a kid and you played, you made the finger gun. So that's what you do. 3 fingers around the handle, the index finger in the front of the, what we call the bolster at the back of the blade, and the thumb on the other side. So then it's kind of like a cross that you're doing. Excuse me, I don't want to stab you.
He's lying.
Yeah, so there is the proper way to hold it. So finger gun, 3 fingers, index finger down on this side, thumb straight ahead towards the point. The index finger and the rest of the pointing down. This gives you the best ultimate flexibility with your wrist.
Bring your hand up a little bit, Rob.
Okay. Okay. It's the best flexibility. So, those guys that do the things with the knives, okay? We don't do that in the kitchen. But if you hold it like this, you don't have that amount of flexibility, okay? And you don't have the control on keeping your knife straight and cutting where you want it to cut, because we don't want to cut our thumbs, because that's what I call the rule of thumbs in my kitchens. And the first rule of thumb is don't cut them because you need to use them, okay? So we have some lettuce. I have a clean bowl ready to go. I'm going to remove a little bit of the core.
All right, so we have some answers to this wash or not wash.
Okay.
Goes like this. Jenny says, yes, I wash everything. Deb says, I usually rewash. Melissa Yee says, I wash. Jenny says, I don't buy salad in a bag, but I do buy lettuce and spinach in the plastic containers. Diane Bishop
Okay,
showed
but-
up and says, "Am I in time for dinner?"
It's on the stove.
The plastic container is also pre-washed.
Make sure you read the labels.
Right, it says on
Sometimes
it.
they will say triple washed, sometimes they will say pre-washed. If they have those two things, they have been sanitized out in the field. So you really don't want to contaminate it
In the
in your
field
own-
packing plant, actually.
wherever. Some
Yes.
packing plants are in the field.
Yeah.
You wanna argue?
So, yes, I do.
This is
There's
what
field
you
pack, and then there's, which is that's the romaine and the lettuce that you get that is not cleaned, because they pack that right in the field into the boxes and off it goes. And then there's the they go to the production plants or the packaging plants. That's where they do all the washing and the cleaning and the spinning and the rinsing and all that stuff. So I see my board slip.
Can I ask you, with those rules, so how does that work with fruit? So if I get a container, I typically, if I have like a container, plastic container of strawberries that has the holes in it, I just
Yep.
swish water around on it and let it drain out of those holes. I don't know if I'm doing something
Right.
wrong.
No, you're doing okay. Those are not, though they're not pre-washed. Okay, so they're not ready to eat. They don't say on the container that they're ready to eat.
They
They-
don't wash either, do they?
But you do need to wash them first, because there will be little bits of sand and whatever on them.
Okay.
Strawberries, blueberries, things like that.
Grapes,
Most fruit does
any-
not come pre-washed.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
we do not see that,
But guess what? It does not say wash before eating,
but you should.
but you should.
Okay.
Yes. Those of you that aren't, that are washing all this stuff, I know it's an area of contention, but it is, and if you know, some people don't want to listen to what the government says, but both the FDA and the CDC do recommend not washing already pre-washed vegetables, salad, especially salad mixes and things of that nature. They recommend do not try to re-clean them. Eat them directly out of the package. Okay.
That is a
So,
major
that's the
thing I've
start of
learned
our
tonight.
salad.
Look, that already looks pretty.
Yep. We can toss a little bit, and we got a lot of colors. Now we're going to make it a little bit more colorful, because now I can use a colander for this. I got some blueberries to throw in there. Why do we want to add blueberries to our salad? New dietitian Mindy.
I don't know.
Oh, right.
Antioxidants, polyphenols.
Oh, all those things that are good for you.
Could be.
And why would I want to add it to my salad?
Because you like.
Because I like blueberries and they taste
He
good.
doesn't like them. He loves them.
They really.
I love mandarin oranges, or I love cranberries. I'm just now starting to branch out and add a little bit of fruit to some of my salads.
It's a
and
great
goat
way to get
cheese,
fruit into your diet.
Sour dried cherries.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
I
we
used
have a
to be a
comment here.
very just a salad person, but now the thought of adding a sweet fruit and some like the you know, the different flavors of goat cheese with it, like that's all new to me. And I like a whole world's been opened up. But I tell you, just learning tonight about the washing, that was completely new. I am, yeah,
Okay.
mind blown on that right there. But go ahead, sorry.
Okay, so Molly says, I get large tubs of greens, put a double paper towel on top, and store the tub upside down.
That's fine.
Great. Yes, that's kind of like what restaurants do. They have salad savers and lettuce savers, and after they wash, because they don't typically, well, some buy pre-done salads, but they don't. They then have salad crispers, and they're big plastic boxes with basically a drain in the bottom, like in your roasting pan, you put the roasting rack. So it's an insert that goes in the bottom, and so the water can drain out, but you then keep it cold, and they will put paper towels over the top, moist, and then let it just get really nice, cold, and crispy.
You actually don't have to moisten it. Just
Yes.
put the dry paper towel.
So-
It will get moistened.
Yes. So what I'm doing, if you've never seen this little trick on Food Network or anything else, I need to chop up parsley for the dressing. So I just take it in my hand and ball up into a little teeny tiny ball, and then just make little, very short slices across. And then you have nicely chopped parsley. Now you can hit it a few more times if you want to make it really nice and small. So I'm getting some herbs together. Mindy, you can talk about those. Do you want to toast them? Do you want to just throw them in
Actually,
tonight?
I'm just gonna, since we didn't pre-plan, we're gonna put a little bit of almond, walnuts in. I like any nuts, walnuts. Walnut Board has some really great recipes
And
on how to use them.
who's your favorite nut?
I'm not gonna say that.
Oh, come on.
I drank too much one night,
Don't start. No.
so we won't talk about what I call some of the nuts.
Oh,
So,
But the family does not let me live it down.
so I am doing some chives from her garden as well. Those are delicious in salad dressings. But why now? Walnuts, though, of all the nuts, have some of the healthiest oils of all.
They do.
They highly, especially in the Mediterranean diet, they do recommend walnuts over all the other nuts. Though they do like you have any nuts, even peanuts. But peanuts are part of the legume family, which are the base of the Mediterranean diet. Is really based on if you have their pyramid, legumes around the bottom, because they support the whole diet. Because for many reasons, legumes are filling, they're fiber, they're full of fiber, many have a lot of protein, so they're just really good for you to build your diet on. So but peanuts, but walnuts again is the #1 nut that is
And that's
recommended.
about 20 nuts, which is about a quarter of a cup.
Okay,
Right.
we have
Is
some
this
questions.
serving?
We have some questions.
Okay, keep going.
So Melissa says, do you wash with a special veggie wash or is this just water? And I think it's a joke because she's got 2 smiley face emojis going.
No,
Just water.
just
Again,
water.
the FDA, the CDC do not recommend. In fact, they recommend against using the commercial vegetable washes.
Don't use the vegetable washes, Melissa.
Nope.
no.
Okay.
Nope.
So Diane says, I went out to eat and was fixing a salad from the salad bar, and I noted they'd put cubes of ice on them. What is the purpose? Anyway, I don't like it.
It's to keep the salad fresh.
Keeps the salad
So
fresh.
it's
put-
Diane.
that
but
little
that's-
cold chill on the top.
but won't that make it wilty and wet and gross?
Yes, they packed it in ice on top, but they're probably just sprinkling a
I
lot
didn't
to
see.
keep it
I
moist.
didn't get the whole question. It was
Salad bars have chunk that they sprinkle ice on top of the salad.
that's, in my opinion, as a chef, that's just dumb.
They do it.
Okay.
There we go.
They
But
shouldn't
do
do that. No, it just makes the salad wet, and then when you put your dressing on it, dilutes the dressing. No, the salad should be cold and crisp when it goes on the salad bar. There is no need to put ice on top. That is just, and it should be, the salad bar should be kept cold enough, either with ice or as a refrigerated system, that the greens are safe at a safe temperature, because we still have to keep greens even cold. But that the salad remains crisp. There's no need for that. And if it's drying out, then they're putting out too much salad at a time
And it's been
and
there a long
not
time.
watching their customer flow.
It's been
Okay.
a long time.
So if you see ice on your salad on the salad bar, find a new salad bar.
Or
Okay.
ask them why they do it. And can
Well,
I have
no.
a fresh bowl of salad?
Oh yeah, you can try to educate them, but that won't go over well. Okay, so we got a beautiful salad. Walnuts, by the way, if you want to increase the flavor substantially, toast the walnuts. Toasting anything. You hear about toasting spices. And nuts, though, if you throw them in a pan or in the oven, not the microwave, maybe your air fryer, whatever you may have, and just get them a little, until they just get that toasty smell. You don't want them to burn or smoking. So you don't need any oil, just into a dry pan with a little bit of heat, and it just brings out all the natural oils and the natural sugars that are in. And what?
Start cooking.
Yes, I know I have to finish here. So, all right, I'm going to try to go on uninterrupted for a minute. We're going to make a basic vinaigrette. The main ingredients for vinaigrette, are vinegars, right? Vinegar is basically a fancy way of saying really vinegar and oil. So I have a couple different, when you go for vinegar, it's really what you like. I have 4 different vinegars here on the counter. I have apple cider vinegar.
With the mother in the bottom.
Right, unfiltered. That mother in the bottom, that slimy, snotty looking stuff, like my chef terms, is the mother. That's what actually from the fermentation. That's what makes it so healthy. So if you can save that, you can do what I did and make homemade vinegar. So this bottle is not ginger beer. It is homemade red wine vinegar. So I take leftover wine, which is not a common thing in my house, but we sometimes have leftover wine. I'm lying. And if you put that in a bottle and you put that mother from the bottom of a vinegar into that leftover wine, then and I'll do a series on this. You put some stuff on the, put cheesecloth over the top and put it in a dark closet and leave it there, believe it or not, for about 3 years. Okay, so I've got multiple bottles in my closet of homemade vinegars. I prefer red wine. Whoops. Rice vinegar. I got too many things on the table. You can take that one. If you like rice vinegar, it makes a beautiful light dressing. Red wine vinegar. That's store bought. I look for the percentage. I look for a 6%. Read the label again. There's a lot of vinegars. They're 4, 5. The best ones with the most strength are 6% acetic acid, which gives it the best kick and the best vinegar flavor. And we're going to be using vinegars a lot in the cooking later on, because you talk about how do we place salt, how do we build flavor. Acid is one of those key things. Remember that term, acid. So we're going to build ours tonight with red wine vinegar. I have some fresh lemon juice and a blend of extra virgin olive oil, and I have here some grapeseed oil. Okay, I don't need that one anymore. Thank you. So the basic vinaigrette. The standard one is just vinegar and oil and whatever flavor and seasonings you want. And you just shake it up and you let it go. And then it separates like a typical, what we call here, Italian dressing, right? So, but the real French vinaigrette always has some Dijon mustard in it, which is an emulsifier. And when I talk about emulsification,
He'll show you.
I will show you, but you all know about emulsification. Probably the most common emulsified product that you have in your refrigerator that you've used is mayonnaise. That's an emulsification of oil and vinegar held together with an emulsifying agent called eggs. And eggs and mustard have a similar basis. They have it in part of they're made up of is called lecithin. It's a protein, and I like to remember it. You can watch that for me. Thank you so much. Lecithin, I think about it, the less you have, the thinner your emulsion is, okay? But it's a protein. That's what holds it all together. Egg yolks are really high. Mustards are really high. Paprika is really high. Red peppers in themselves, capsaicins are really high, and you can use those to build an emulsion. So if you put, I'm putting about a teaspoon of mustard in here. We're going to add about maybe, depending on how much dressing I want to make, let's say about 2 ounces. I like mine actually sharp. I like my vinaigrettes. I like them vinegary and mustardy. Now, if you really like that mustard flavor, which gives it that bitter sharpness, you can add more. If you don't really care for it, well, you got to have some to pull it all together. So I've got some red wine vinegar. I'm going to do the juice of a.
This is one of the best inventions.
Yes, these little
juicers,
lemon squeezers, lime squeezers. There's green ones, red ones, yellow ones for lemons, oranges, and you just put it in. Now you put it in with the cut side down, okay? And just.
Are you using a half a
squeeze.
lemon or a whole?
That's a half. And I'm not even going to squeeze the whole thing. I'll save some for later in case I feel it needs a little more lemon zip. Okay, so we just start whisking. This is where we build the emulsion.
When he does it that way, it's even better. Then IKEA has this wonderful little spinner, which I get my milk by every morning.
It's a milk frother.
It's a milk frother. So he makes me milk up for breakfast every morning. But it's also a really good utensil.
Yeah, you can show them.
So you drop it in, and you can see how it's spinning. So he gets his beating off with his arm. Which I didn't mean to say that.
It's a magic blender there. So if you do this right, okay, don't overdo it.
Well, if it turns off, I told you it was acting funny
No.
today.
Okay,
But these are only $2 at
so we season now a little cracked pepper. Okay. No salt. I'm gonna put my chives in and my parsley.
Did you put the olive oil in yet?
Nope,
Okay, I thought I missed something. Okay.
nope. I built the emulsion and I put everything in it first, and the oil is the last thing to go.
adding a little water.
No water. No. You can if we want to make.
If you have dry spices, if you use
Okay.
like parsley or any dried herbs,
You have your vinegar.
you have your vinegar, but you can add like a teaspoon of water
Okay.
and hydrate them.
Well,
I have the time if you'd like.
no, honestly.
I do.
Okay. That's why your dressing doesn't taste good.
Oh, she's such a liar.
So I'm gonna start with my grapeseed oil. If you make it 100% extra virgin olive oil, it's really way too heavy, and it gets, if you want to put it in the refrigerator, which you don't have to with this, it'll set up. It'll get solid in the refrigerator. So I blend it and just to lighten it up. So we're doing the old drizzle to try to build the emulsion. I don't think I have enough mustard in here for this emulsion, honestly. But that's okay. I don't need it. I'm not going to build a great emulsion tonight. We'll do it again later.
Put a drop in there. Don't get it.
We have a question here. Do you put your herbs, basil, mint, dill, parsley, cilantro, in a glass of water on the counter, or keep them in the refrigerator?
In the refrigerator, but you have to put something over the top. If you putting them in a glass of water is great, but you still have to, like, if you put them in a glass, you have to put a baggie over the top or something, or they'll just dry out, and the refrigerator will draw all the moisture out of them, and then they'll wilt. The other thing, what I like to do with like parsley and cilantro and things that have a lot of stems is I'll take a piece of paper, I take the bunch, and I wet a paper towel, fold it, wrap it around the base all the way, and then I'll put that into a plastic bag and just put it in the refrigerator, put it in the drawer. Tell you what, I get cilantro that lasts in my drawer for over a week. With that, keeping it's kind of a shortcut to doing a glass of water. It takes up a lot less room.
It's also really important when you buy new vegetables and fruits to pull out your vegetable drawer and wash it with the infamous Windex from my Greek wedding, or any type of cleaner. Make sure you clean it out, because as we showed you how the lettuce is somewhat dirty, it does get into the drawer. And if you want your vegetables to last longer, you got to keep your vegetable drawer clean.
Okay, now typically the originally chefs, Scoffier, everybody else, vinaigrette was 3 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. Okay, 3 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. Now that's a full fat dressing, and it's very rich and high calorie and high fat. Even if it's olive oil, Mindy has another great saying about comparing olive oil and soybean oil and grapeseed oil and lard.
Fat is fat.
Right. Fat is fat is fat when it comes to calories. It's all 9 calories per gram.
9 calories per gram. So the way I was educated, because I've been a dietitian for a long time, we focused really consistently on a low-fat diet for cardiac patients. And we're finding changes, not high-fat diets, but just increasing the fat a little bit for that satiety value. If you limit fat, you'll get hungry quicker. So it's really important to have a little bit of fat in your diet. If you want beef or any of those things, you have it the size of a deck of playing cards. So you get the taste, or you have like a salad like we're having, and maybe slice some thin steak or chicken breast or something along with it for your protein.
So just so I don't have to do math, how much olive oil did you end up using?
I just put about 2 ounces.
So you had 2 ounces of vinegar.
I had 2 ounces of vinegar plus the little bit of lemon, and then I used another 2 ounces of, or 2.5 of the grapeseed oil, and then another 2 ounces of the olive oil.
Okay.
Okay. So I blend, but you can blend it. You know, most restaurants, they get like 75-25. If you buy like that blended olive oil in the store, is 75% vegetable oil and 25% olive oil. And it makes wonderful dressings. Okay. You don't need, I mean, unless you really, really love the flavor of olive oil. And I can do another whole session on olive oil since I was an Italian food importer, blah, blah, blah. And we can talk about the flavors of olive oil from north to south and how they're all different and how you can use it. So, all right, so notice. See how it's emulsified? See, everything's hanging together. When I do this, and I can leave this on the counter, and tomorrow it'll still be one. It will not be separated. Okay, and that's an emulsified. Does it taste any different than the regular shaken one? No. Okay, it doesn't. It does not taste different. It just looks a little nicer. It coats better when you have an emulsified dressing. It tends to coat the greens better, and so it doesn't all separate in the bottom of the bowl. So that is the dressing part of the discussion here. Now, one more thing we talk about. When you do the 3-to-1 as full fat, you can use more vinegar or other liquid to reduce the fat in the dressing to make it low fat. So like Mindy said, that's where I thought she was going. You can add water. I mean, if you look at low-cal dressings in the grocery store, most of them have water as the first ingredient. That's all they've done is water down the dressings and increase the sugar in order to give more flavor. The fat-free especially. Then the fat-frees in the grocery store have lots of sugars, lots of food starches, and so on to hold it together and bind it without the oil to build the emulsion. So, but we can do that with just using the right types of acids and then replacing the oil with other, with juices and things of that nature. We'll talk about using it with orange juice or cranberry juice or things.
There are some yogurt dressings out there that are pretty well flavored. The sodium content, you have to read it. They vary between product and product, but they have a wonderful flavor. It's up to each individual to say, oh, I like that flavor.
Yes.
Now, just a separate question on the cutting board that you're using. You would not place meat on that, right? You would use something totally separate.
Correct.
Well,
right.
Yes and no.
The other side of this cutting board has a well on it.
You can do the flip side, or I mean, washing it and cleaning it makes it, if you do cut meat on this, and if you wash it and you wash it properly, I keep forgetting my camera's over here. If you wash it properly and sanitize it, it is fine for using vegetables the next time you use it. But in the kitchen, and you'll see how I do this, I do the meat prep last. All my vegetable prep is done first. When the board is clean and it's not contaminated. Okay. Then if I have to cut up chicken or chunk up, I made soup today. We're having soup for dinner over here. You see my
Instapot.
My Instapot on the counter.
You don't have one?
I made split pea, actually a multi-grain soup. It's got split peas, barley, and red lentils in it. Made soup and with some a little bit of a beef chuck. So I did all my vegetables. I cut up all my carrots, onions, and celery and everything, all that stuff. And then I did the meat last. Okay. So it's really just a matter of how you handle it. If you really want to be super, super safe, yes, you can use a separate cutting board for the meat, or even just, as Mindy was saying, do the flip. And now you have a clean meat side.
So we do have, just so you know, we do have multiple cutting boards. If you're looking at bamboo, does not absorb a whole lot. The best is maple. I have missing finger due to knowing how hard maple was when I tried to nail it one day. It doesn't. So it's not very porous. So not a whole lot of bacteria will absorb into a maple board. You can use the plastic boards. We have those, the synthetics. When you get grooves and cuts in them, they're no longer sanitary.
And when you wash them, it's pretty much boiling water, right? You can just use
Yep.
boiling water.
Friction clean. In other words, soap and a lot of friction
Mhm.
Is what really,
is
because
what does the cleaning process.
at your home, you cannot get water hot enough, except for the dishwasher, to actually sanitize something. Okay.
Mhm.
In a commercial restaurant, dishwashers go up to 180-degree minimum in order to sanitize.
Or they have.
Or they have a chemical
chlorine-
sanitizer where they
chemical,
use a
chlorine.
chlorine-based, like it's a bleach solution, basically. So you can use hot water as hot as you can stand it. That is fine, especially when you have grease and so on to break down and remove. But it's funny. I've researched and I've read it over and over and over the FDA food code, and that is pretty much what most restaurants and health departments, the health departments all base their rules on the FDA food code. And there's a whole section there on hand washing and hand washing procedures. Nowhere in those procedures does it say you have to wash your hands with hot water.
Nope, it's friction. And
No, nowhere. Now, when they do the dishes, you have to have hot water to wash the dishes in the kitchen to do to wash the pots and pans or hand wash
doesn't have
dishes.
to be hot.
Right, 140.
Doesn't have to, if you're hand washing, it has to be at least
But
110.
But it was just
120.
interesting.
Rinse, and then they use a sanitizer rinse.
Right.
It's about 70 degrees with whatever substance they're using, which is usually an iodine base.
So I had asked that question though, when we were as an instructor, all of a sudden, it came to me like, boy, is there a requirement for hot water for washing your hands? And doing the research, I found out no. So, which is, it just shows it's all about the soap and the friction, and plenty of water to wash away the bacteria and such. The soap does the big job because it's actually the fat in the soap that breaks down the cell walls of the bacteria, and that's what destroys them.
This is one of the biggest bacterial holders in your kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Sponges in general. We tried new sponges. What is it? The Big Daddy,
Yeah.
the Big Mama that was on Shark Tank and everything. We bleached this one today, but it's really interesting because if this is cold, it's more scrubbability. It's much firmer.
Mm.
And the same thing.
Like this.
No, I don't want to replant it. What is that? He asked if I want to replant the chives. When I get green onions, I leave the roots on the bottom, and I started poking holes in my garden and just sticking them back in the dirt. Guess what? They grow.
Yes, they do.
Doesn't work for everything, but I've got onion right now, and I've got green onions. I did radishes. I didn't think that would make it, because we had all the radish greens. It actually, the original radish is still there, and then it's got this little other radish coming out of its side. So we use the greens from the.
Mhm.
Okay, so we got a lovely, healthy salad here with spinach and kale and romaine. Spinach and the kale are both extremely healthy greens. And then by saying building some fruit, because I can't count the number of people I know that do not eat fruit. On one side, just don't eat fruit. And then on the other hand, there's a lot of people I know that don't eat vegetables, right?
At all.
Yeah, it's just meat and
potatoes
white
or
potatoes or French fries, and they may eat some fruit, but not much,
Mhm.
So ways to work it in, or with you, your family, your kids, grandkids, whatever. These are different ways to just introduce it and especially they're not salad eaters, and you put something sweet like fruit into it, it makes it a little bit more happy, a little more palatable.
Someone doesn't like cucumbers. I have a grandson that just will not eat a cucumber. You slice up the cucumber and put vinegar and pepper on it, and he'll eat 2 bowls of it.
So
Mhm.
it's all making it
It's all that taste. He likes
Yes.
that tart taste in his mouth.
making it palatable. So I put a couple of grapes on top just for a little more color, and it's ready to go. So
Looks delicious.
yeah, and I'm going to sit here for a second. Nothing like having chairs in the kitchen, especially when you have energy issues sometimes.
That
right?
is the first chair
Mindy
I
said.
got.
Yeah, this is really
college.
old.
This was my bar stool at my bar in my first apartment.
And it actually fits perfectly under the counter. So if I do want to do some chopping and whatever, I can do that. It's really a nice idea if you don't have the stamina. Because, you know, I find, I mean, I'm kind of only a year out, like I said earlier, but overall, I mean, we climbed a half-mile up a mountain on Saturday and came back down. I'm walking, I feel really well. I saw the doctor today and he's like, man, you know, this just, you know, you're doing great, you know, for only being a year, 13 months since your dissection. But I still have moments, and we found that because we were talking the other day, and Karen, you were part of that conversation in Facebook about I think it was about someone getting very tired from making the bed. Right?
Yeah.
And then you said you had this, you know, sometimes same issue. And we found out, you know, we were thinking about it because I was doing some things as well, and I don't get that tired that easily anymore. But I was like in the kitchen and in making a bed or other tasks. See, I didn't go there. Is using your arms and bending over. Those two things, because the work and the work your heart goes through in order to
you're raising your arms
to pump blood up your arms when you raise your arms is a lot of additional work that you don't. So we're just thinking about that, and so the same thing, in the kitchen, it can be very tiring. Yeah, you can add some broth to it.
This is our vegetable
This is
soup.
actually a bean dish. It's
Okay, that's like a goulash. It looks like a really thick.
Well, it looks like the barley. Yeah, the barley really soaked up the last of the liquid. So I'll add some more liquid to it, and it's got plenty of flavor. We can thin the soup, as they say, or just eat it like that as a main course dish. It's just doesn't have to be.
I'm curious. We talked about leaving the lettuce obviously in the fridge. Do you just follow the rules of what you see in the grocery store? Because I've heard some changes on that. So if you see an onion not in the refrigerated section, that means you don't have to put it in your fridge. Potato, you don't have to put it in the fridge. Okay.
Onions should be left in the net bag or some sort of breathable bag. And really, you should hang them in your closet. We have a pantry closet, with the door, and we have hooks inside, and the onions hang in the closet in the dark.
Okay.
And same with the potatoes, because your potatoes, if you leave them out, they will turn green because they actually just start to produce chlorophyll, which is not healthy for you. Green potatoes will upset your intestinal system.
But sprouting onions are good.
Yeah, sprouted onions technically are good. So a lot of things do not need to be refrigerated. In fact, now if you put those potatoes in the refrigerator, what happens is the starches start to convert into sugars too quickly, and it changes the actual structure of the potato. So if you want to make French fries, like places, the good restaurants, they all keep their potatoes in the storeroom. If they get thrown in the refrigerator, they got to pull them back out for 2 weeks in order for them to revert back to the proper starch and sugar ratio. So
I never knew that.
Your baked potato will not be as fluffy and nice if you put that Idaho potato in the refrigerator.
See, all the things I just never ever. What about your like the chives and the parsley? Because I know I've kept. I have kept my shallots in the fridge. Now I'm learning a lot. Now I feel like I need to really start from scratch. So what about
garlic?
Mine are in the garden, so.
Garlic, onion, shallots, just in a basket on the counter.
Yeah. Okay.
Or in the closet. I pull a few out for.
We have a little basket.
See.
That's tucked in the corner.
With the onions and the garlic stuff. The green herbs need to be refrigerated, really. At least unless you use them really quick. I mean, if you just put them in water, on your shelf, and your house is cool, they'll be fine for a few days. But if you want to keep them longer, you want to keep them refrigerated. And just put them, as we said earlier, in water, or you can wrap the stems up in a nice wet paper towel and put the whole thing in a plastic bag.
So why is it so yellow?
I did. I snuck in some turmeric. She asked, why is this soup so yellow?
The bowl's yellow?
because I added another antioxidant to our soup, which was turmeric.
Ginger is also good,
Yeah.
especially for
So
muscle.
I have all these little sneaky ways to make our food better for us and to keep us healthy that we'll talk about that don't necessarily affect the flavor much. Some make it taste better. Some just don't affect it at all, but just makes it healthier and better for us. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to cover lots of topics.
Simple things like a banana. Do you eat green bananas or yellow bananas?
Oh, yellow.
Ah, but there's less glycemic index in a green banana.
I know, but the greens don't taste as sweet. And then you have to cut out the little bruises.
Yes, and the greens have much higher fiber content if you can chew them. They're like plantains. But the riper they get, the less fiber they have. And the
tastier they are. No, I'm kidding.
Yes,
that's always
absolutely. And when they get really brown, they magically turn into banana bread.
Yes, isn't that amazing how that happens? Hey, I want to check in real quick and let me see if we have any other questions or comments.
All right. So Melissa says, "Looking good, Rob."
Thank you.
Right. Molly says, she says, "Thank you, Mindy. I just dug my 3 green onion roots out of the trash can and stuck them in some dirt."
Yep.
They got roots. They grow.
Roots down. Now you can even just toothpick them over a little dish of water and wait a few days, and they will sprout roots.
They don't have them.
Yeah, you only have to buy a bunch of green onions it takes growing time, but you can definitely regenerate a lot of the kitchen carrots.
I've been experimenting.
Celery.
I don't grow carrots.
Celery.
Celery I've tried, even from seeds. Lettuce is out of season in Florida.
Yeah, you can take the bottom of a head of dib lettuce, with the rooty stuff on it, and put that in the ground, and it'll just grow a brand new head. You can put romaine. If you put the base of it
in water,
trim it, put the toothpicks, hang it in water for a week or so. It'll start to grow roots. Plant that, you get a whole brand new head of romaine. It's wonderful.
And we'll know more.
We'll talk about this stuff. I'm trying to wrap it up.
Okay, hold on.
We have a few
more. We have some
more.
A few more comments. All right. So, Melissa says that you mentioned that you despine chard. Is there a reason? Because she eats the whole thing.
That's fine if you like it. It could be very chewy. It doesn't really cook as well as the leaves. So typically in the kitchen, in the professional kitchen, we despine it. But I mean, if you eat it all is great. I mean, if you cut it up small enough and cook it, it's going to be, it'll break down. Or if you put it in salads, I'm not sure if she's talking raw or cooked.
Fun came in.
Yep, doors open. So, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's not as palatable.
Okay.
So,
John says, what if you only use half an onion? Does the unused half need to be refrigerated?
Yes. Once you break the integrity of the onion, then you need to refrigerate it. Yes. And you want to wrap it well because it's going to make everything else taste like onions. It's true. It's not a fallacy. Even your eggs will.
You can either put it in a glass bowl with a lid or wrap it tightly in saran wrap.
Right.
Okay. And then we said, hi, John. And John said, hi back. Tammy says, I may have missed this, but how long will the salad dressing last in the refrigerator?
Good question.
Well, in the refrigerator for a very long time. This one doesn't even have to go in the fridge necessarily. If you put fresh garlic in your dressing, you need to refrigerate it because garlic preserved in oil can actually, there's natural botulism in, that's not, in garlic.
Just a sugar.
What?
Yes.
See, it's
yes.
separated.
So it's just separating, but so if you want to make garlic flavored oil and keep it around for a long time, and there's a chance. I mean, it's not going to happen all the time, but garlic does have a risk of botulism poisoning if it's preserved in oil, because botulism is an anaerobic bacterium, and
garlic is a low acid,
and it needs to be in a non-air environment. So when it's in oil, there's obviously no air. So then the botulism can sprout, the shell will break down, and it can become deadly. So just careful with, but if you refrigerate it, you're typically okay. But normally, if you put this dressing in the refrigerator, depending on how, I only made, 8 ounces, so it won't last more than, a few days, 5, 6 days, a week. But I've kept some for
Close to 2 weeks.
2, 3 weeks even. There's nothing in there that's really going to spoil or that is dangerous.
Yeah, if you use dry,
And it's high acid.
if you use dry herbs,
Even better.
it's even better.
Right. I was going to talk about that. I forgot about that, but I went all with the fresh tonight. Typically for salad dressings, I will use dried herbs, not fresh, unless I'm using it right away, because dried herbs, they'll take time to hydrate, the flavors last, they infuse. Fresh herbs tend to dissipate very quickly. But one of the big enemies of bacterial growth is acid. So salad dressing obviously is a high acid medium. So there's a very low risk for any type of bacterial growth in your salad dressing. Okay.
Any more questions?
More questions, comments? I want to remind everybody that the camera does put, I think, 20 pounds on people. So just
it's just us. We
Tammy
accept our
said-
body image. We are accepting our body image.
yes.
Tammy says green banana always.
There you go. Hey, that one, my dad, green banana
Oh, he
refrigerated
ate them totally green and refrigerated.
and only refrigerated.
We get them so they've got
Green tips, they're called.
green tips. The green at the bottom. They're starting
That's-
to
And we
turn
let 'em-
yellow.
That's
we let 'em
see,
ripen.
I could eat that. I could eat that. Like you're
That's
almost
okay.
where I find that acceptable.
Tomorrow
Almonds.
that'd be great.
Yes,
Yes.
tomorrow they would be great.
We just bought them yesterday.
But you want to have that little bit of green.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Do
oh
we
my
have-
gosh, him with the refrigerated green
Oh,
bananas.
he would
it's
only
crazy.
eat tomatoes when they were refrigerated because it had more flavor.
Yeah, don't put your tomatoes in the fridge, please.
Never put tomatoes in
Hi,
refrigerator.
Morty.
Do we have any other questions or comments?
Oh, that's everything. Melissa said
Well,
let
Chinese
me
style
tell you-
cook.
Let me tell you guys, this was wonderful. Even for something that's so simple, I can't begin to tell you how much I learned and how excited I am just to learn more about food and just, take a few minutes out of my evening to relax with this. And maybe I'll even enjoy when I'm tasting more instead of just eating for the sake of eating. I think that it's going to start to feel differently, smell differently, everything's going to be heightened now because I'm going to be getting a chance to look at it in a more healthier light and understand food. I think that's the other big thing is we're not taught to understand food. We're taught to eat food and
No.
we eat what we like, but not really to understand it. And you're right, Mindy. A lot of times what you get is just we call them dittos, but you just get your piece of paper that says, here, this is a diet, and nothing is really explained to you why. And so I'm really looking forward to learning some more. I mean, that looks beautiful. I'm hungry now. I wrote down everything for this very simple, but it sounds delicious salad dressing. And I'm just so thankful that you guys are willing to do this. I'm very appreciative and really appreciate your time this evening.
We
We enjoy it.
It's a lot of fun, and we like, sharing the information. And obviously, I'm done cooking because I'm holding the dog.
I see that. Yeah. So we're gonna have the information up soon about the sessions that begin May 9th. It'll be at 7 p.m. right here on our AHTV YouTube channel.
Yep.
So check it out. Please, if you have any questions after watching this, put them in the comment section. We'll be sure to get to them for you. And don't forget to click like. Don't forget to click subscribe. If I could speak, subscribe. It's because my mouth is watering, so that you're notified when we do go live with these sessions. And thank you again so much for sharing all of this information. And I'm very excited to learn some more from both of you.
Our pleasure. We'll
Looking
see you
forward
again.
to it.
And we'll see you
Thank
online.
you again. We'll see you soon. Have
Okay.
a good night.
Good night.